Mary Gargano graduated from Towson University in 2010 with a bachelor's degree in elementary education, special education. She did much of her preparation at the Northeast Maryland Higher Education Center in Harford County, Maryland. Mrs. Gargano is a special education teacher in the Harford County Public Schools. These are her reflections.
Mrs. Gargano, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us a little bit about your preparation to become a teacher and your career.
Well, thank you for having me. It's certainly a privilege to be asked to participate in this project.
Thank you. This, I think, will add a great deal to our understanding of teacher education at Towson University across time. It's exciting and important for us to understand a little bit about some new programming that we're doing off the main campus. And the program in Harford County is one that we regard as very successful and probably one that will be growing as time goes by. I guess a good place to begin would be in the beginning. So could you share with us a little bit about your early social context, where you grew up, what kinds of ideas you were having about what you might want to do professionally later in your adult life?
Sure. I grew up in Perry Hall in Baltimore County and grew up with an older brother. He's 2 years older than me, very supportive parents that were very involved in school, and school was always very important. I went to Gunpowder Elementary and always really liked school when I was younger. You know, had a lot of friends in my classes, was really involved and liked going to school. And my third grade teacher, Mrs. Lamont, was fabulous. I remember my brother had her in third grade and my parents loved her and my brother Matthew loved her, and so I had to have Mrs. Lamont. And so when I found out I was in her class, I was just ecstatic. And she was just one of those teachers that really kind of inspired me and got me really into the whole education field and thinking about maybe being a teacher someday. And you know, she built really good rapport with both her students and her parents, and you know, held book clubs and was just one of those really fun teachers, but also very supportive, and I felt like I learned a lot. And so she definitely had a large impact on me even at a younger age. And then I moved on to Perry Hall Middle and Perry Hall High School. And by the time I got to high school, I'd grown up with my godparents have a daughter who has autism. Oh. And so I grew up most of my life with her. She's several years older than I am, but grew up with her and her sister and spent a lot of time with them, went on vacations together over the summer. And so, you know, I kind of built an interest in the special needs field, kind of growing up with her. And when I got to high school, I, instead of taking an elective class each year, I chose to be a peer helper and help out with the special needs program. And so for one period of the day, I'd go and I'd hang out with them, and sometimes it was in their PE class, and I'd play games with them. And I just fell in love with being a friend for them and someone that, you know, even though we were peers at that time, we were classmates, that, you know, I was someone they looked up to, and I felt like I was, you know, kind of having a positive impact in their life, and someone that they really, you know, felt a connection with and wanted to be around. And so that's when I really felt a strong interest for working with that population, and when my desires to maybe go into the special ed field started. So, you know, growing up as a little girl, I played school with my friends. I think every little girl does. So, but, you know, as I got older, my mind kind of drifted in different areas. You know, I thought I wanted to be a pediatric nurse, and that's where I actually started my college career, but I just kept going back to really wanting to work with individuals with special needs.
So in high school, you're sort of thinking, well, maybe not teaching, maybe nursing. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that and your initial experience in that field.
Yeah, I knew whatever I did, I was going to be working with kids. I've always loved kids, always wanted to be around kids. And so, you know, I bounced kind of back and forth between, do I want to go into special ed, do I want to go into nursing? And so, you know, just being a high school graduate or getting to that point, you know, junior year of high school, I was thinking money. And so I was thinking, well, if I'm a nurse, I can still be with kids. I can go into pediatric nursing. And so I knew that Messiah College in Pennsylvania had a really good nursing program, and I applied and got accepted at the end of my junior year of high school, and was so excited to go away and go do that. And about halfway through my first semester, I just had second thoughts and doubts and, wondering what if this really isn't what I'm supposed to be doing? What if I, chose the wrong course for my education career? And so I got online and I started looking at Towson's education programs. And, I could have stayed at Messiah to do their special ed program, but I just knew that Towson was known for their teaching and they had a really strong education program. So I looked into Towson and I filled out an application and got an acceptance letter. So after my first semester at Messiah, I moved back home and spent the winter at home with my family, and then found out that they had a place for me to move into Towson, and I spent the next year and a half there at Towson, living on campus and doing my prereqs for the education program. And I had originally gone into it thinking I was going to do the infants and toddlers special ed program.
Okay.
So, and Chuck Meyer was actually my academic advisor. So he helped me get set up with some of the prereqs that I needed for that. So the second half of my freshman year and sophomore year was actually on campus, kind of following that plan.
Yes. So at some point you decide perhaps you want to work with older students, at least a little bit older. And you also must have come to hear that there was going to be a program in Harford County. Tell us a little bit about those two changes.
Okay. So I still really wanted to do the infants and toddlers. I really wanted to work with the little kids, but my junior year of high school, my family actually moved up to Churchville in Harford County. So I finished out my senior year, driving back and forth, and then I had been away at Messiah, and then I had moved down to Towson, and so I found out about the EASY program coming up to the Heat Center. And even though I knew it wouldn't be as geared towards the little ones that I thought I wanted, I liked the idea of being able to move back home and having all my classes here, doing all my student teaching in Harford County, and I like the idea of getting the dual certification and dual degree in both the elementary and special education. I think I always knew in my heart that I was going to stay in the special ed field, but I liked having that other background and wealth of knowledge, and they always said how it would make us highly qualified, and so I was a part of the first cohort for the EASY program up here.
Absolutely. Tell us, so now you are sort of at junior year status, and tell us a little bit about the courses that you were taking at that point. Were you still taking curriculum courses, and did you have any courses where there was more emphasis on the practical or the theoretical, or perhaps a combination?
Yeah, we were definitely still taking like curriculum and instruction and the different assessment courses, and the elementary piece, we were taking the reading courses and the math courses, and we had different smaller field placements where we got to go to the elementary schools for just one subject area of the day, and we spent some time just observing, and then we got to teach a lesson and interact with the kids. So it was kind of a good combination. Junior year, we had some field experience and then also some classes in the classroom.
And did that give you any sense of grade level you were interested in, or whether you'd be more interested in being a general educator or a special educator?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped to solidify in my mind that I wanted to stay in the special ed field. I loved being in the classroom and working with the kids. Most of my field placements were in the younger grades, which is what I really thought I wanted. I worked in a first grade math classroom, and then I did a science placement in fourth grade, I believe, and I still like that just as well, but I just always loved the little kids, and so I thought that that's for sure that's where I would be and that's what I'd be doing. But I definitely realized that as opposed to, when I was a little girl and I dreamt of having my own classroom, when I got into the field, I saw more of, working with the special needs population. So I think that those, even just initial experiences, kind of helped with that for me.
Then you go into what we now call your professional year, and you're going to do some sort of shorter term kinds of internship experience in the first semester, and then full-time in the spring. Tell us about both those experiences.
Okay, so because of being in the EASY program, I had one general education placement and one special ed placement. So my general education placement was at Joppatown Elementary in the first grade, which was kind of perfect for me. Tony and Becky did a really good job of placing us where they thought we wanted to be. So I got to be in a first grade classroom, and I really liked that. Like I said, it kind of helped solidify for me that I really wanted to do special ed, and that's what I was really meant to do. But I loved being in that age group. My mentor teacher was fabulous, and I definitely learned a lot from her. So it was a really good experience. I loved Joppatown Elementary. Their principal at the time, Chris Cook, is actually at Prospect Mill now, but he was wonderful and very supportive and had a great rapport with all the students and teachers. And so that was a really, really good experience for me. And then my special ed placement was at Bel Air Elementary. And that was with Dave Grammer, who is fabulous and had a huge, huge impact on my final year of college. And, really helping me to build my confidence and learn those special ed specific skills, and really helped me to feel prepared in going into the field and getting a job. And he actually taught amongst grade levels, which was interesting. So he taught first grade math, and then fourth grade math, and then in fifth grade, reading, writing, and math. So I got quite the span, a lot of math, but across the grade levels. So that was the first time that I had really worked with the older kids in fifth grade. And at first, I really didn't think I was going to like it, but I actually learned to really love it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And so the general educator that I worked with in that classroom was fabulous as well, wonderful teacher. And all of my mentor teachers, or even just the other teachers that I co-taught with during my placements, were fabulous. I don't think I could have asked for better mentor teachers, so they really had a positive impact on my experience with Towson.
That's wonderful. And I suspect that they were very carefully chosen. Now, was that where you were actually doing your hands-on?
Yes.
So you were in the classroom and you were teaching full-time?
Yes.
So that was at the end of your program, very last semester?
Yeah, and I was in both locations with both programs my entire senior year. So the first half, we spent just a little bit of time in each, and then the second half was split up with our full-time teaching between the two.
So that first semester, were the same mentor teachers?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so which was good, I got to spend the entire year working with the kids. I got to start out the year with them and finish the year with them. So I think that really helped with the experience too, instead of, flip-flopping back and forth and only spending a certain amount of time with them.
Sure.
It built upon, at first we were only with them 2 days a week, and then we were with them 5 days a week and teaching full-time. So I think that really helped too. When we went back for our full-time position, the students had known us and were used to us. So.
Of course. Absolutely, and you're doing a full school year in the same school, so that's great too.
That was very helpful. I liked that a lot.
So you had a sense of what a complete year looked like. So you're at the end of your student teaching experience and the end of your degree program, and how are you feeling about your career choice? And what are you thinking if you could sort of select the ideal position for yourself? What would you like that to be?
I was definitely very anxious. I think all of us were very nervous and anxious about, are we going to get a job, and the whole interview process. And but it was nice being part of such a strong cohort that had spent 2 full years together, did everything together. Our supervisors were amazing and very supportive, and there the whole time. So that definitely helped. But my dream position at the time would have still been to be working with the younger age groups. As much as I enjoyed working with the 5th grade, I still just felt like I was more comfortable with the younger kids. So I was definitely looking for something in the special ed field, and I was a little picky about that. I decided that I just wanted to do special ed, so I had applied for special ed positions, but I was hoping to get something working with the younger age groups. And my strongest interest was with the more severely profound disabilities, the area of autism specifically, and So I was kind of hoping to be able to go in that area, but was also, just anxious to get a job. And
Of course.
so as much as I had my dream job in mind, I knew I had to be flexible as to what would even be offered.
Right.
So it was a nerve-wracking process, but exciting at the same time
I'm
to
sure.
get out there in the real world.
So, did you apply just to Harford County, or did you apply
I
to...
applied to Harford County and Baltimore County. I stuck with just the two because I had grown up in Baltimore County and was also comfortable there, but had student taught in Harford County, and so that's what I was comfortable with as well. But
Right.
I stuck with just the two counties.
And how did the process work? Did you go to a screening interview kind of set up, or?
Yes, the EASY program was great in that they actually set up screening interviews. All of us were guaranteed a screening interview with Harford County, so that was nice to know. And then I also did a screening interview with Baltimore County, but I only did individual school interviews for Harford County.
And tell us about that.
That was also nerve-wracking, just waiting for the phone to ring. I guess I started getting phone calls towards the end of that May after I had graduated. And the first couple I got, I was going on a cruise with my family early in June. And so the first couple I got was right before we left, and they all wanted me to come in that week. And, a trip that's already paid for and is expensive, it's like a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
But it was tough, and one of them was actually the principal from Joppa Town, Chris Cook, had gotten moved to Prospect Mill, and they had called me. They had a special ed position open, and I couldn't make it to that interview. And so that was definitely tough. There were a couple interviews that I had to turn down because I wasn't going to be here. But shortly after I got home from the cruise, a friend of mine that works at Havre Grace Middle School knew that there was a special ed opening at her school, and I talked to her principal, and I got a phone call from them, and they set up an interview. And I was a little weary about that because it was middle school, and I mean, if you had asked me when I was doing my college program and my student teaching, I would have never picked middle school and would have never thought I would have ended up in middle school. Everyone thought I was going to be a first grade teacher. So I went and interviewed with that school, and I loved the administrators, and the interview went really well, and I got offered a job later that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
It must have gone very well.
I was very pleased with how it went, yeah. I got a couple more phone calls for interviews after I'd already accepted that job that then I had to turn down yet again. But there's always that fear of not being offered a job even after you go for an interview. So I was, nervous about middle school, kind of excited for a change, something different. It would, definitely be exciting working with a new age group, and but also kind of nervous to turn down a job and not get offered another one. So it was a nervous summer, but exciting kind of going into it, not really knowing what to expect. I didn't have any experience in the middle school field, and it's been an adventure.
So what kind of position do you have? What grade levels? Are you working with all grade levels? Are you an in-class co-teacher?
I am a sixth grade inclusion special ed co-teacher. So I have my own individual caseload, and then I go into the classroom and co-teach with the general educators that my students from my caseload are placed in. So it's a lot of working with the other teachers. I don't have my own classroom. I have a desk in someone else's room, and otherwise I float throughout the building. I have a cart to keep my belongings in, and kind of follow my caseload kids throughout the day and work with them. And I just finished my third year, and every year I've been there, I've had something different. I've been in sixth grade all 3 years, and I'll be in sixth grade again next year. But my first year I taught science, language arts, and math. And
oh my heavens, that's a
which was very
heavy
interesting.
load.
Yes, especially for being middle school. I never thought I'd be a middle school math teacher or a middle school science teacher, and so my first 2 years that was my schedule, and then teaching a reading intervention. And then this past year they had moved special educators to just teaching language arts and math. So I spent 2 periods of the day in language arts, 2 periods of the day in math, and then still teaching a reading intervention. So that's really the only period of the day that I have a small group of kids just by myself. And otherwise I'm co-teaching with the general educators. And next year I'll have a different schedule yet. I believe I'm following my caseload to every class throughout the day, so I'll be teaching social studies for the first time. So So it's interesting working in middle school.
Absolutely. What are the differences? What are you finding about middle school students that makes them unique?
Middle school students are very unique. You know, I remember from middle school myself, I think they're the most unique years of someone's life, if you want to call it that. It's kind of those years where you're, you know, trying to find yourself as an individual, but, you know, you want to be popular and you want to make friends. And so, you know, the sixth graders coming in, half of my students are taller than me, and then the other half of the students look like they're still in third grade. And so it's kind of that weird stage where they're growing up at different times, they're maturing at different times, and the sixth graders, when they come in, they're kind of like the little fish again, and you can tell they're scared, and they're much like fifth graders, but then by the end of sixth grade, you can tell they've got the attitude of, no, now I'm a seventh grader, I'm really a middle schooler, and so it's interesting, but I have to say I was very nervous about it and unsure how much I'd like it, but it's a different age group to work with, but I really like it a lot. I build really good rapport with my students, and, you know, they're kind of at that age where you can joke around with them, you know. Some of them think you're one of their best friends and want to come hang out with you every morning during homeroom, and it was weird. I just had my very first group that I started with just graduated from middle school this year, and so, you know, my 8th grade boys would still come back and say hi to me in the morning, and my 8th grade girls were sad to leave, and so it's pretty cool to be at that age group where, you know, they want to come back and they want to hang out with you, and they see you kind of as a friend and a teacher, and it's been fun. I've definitely enjoyed the age group a lot more than I thought I would. It's been a good experience.
Now, you really did make a transition from sort of what you were thinking that you would be doing, and probably at least where you put your mental emphasis as you were preparing. Do you think that the training, the preparation that you got was such that you could it was still useful to you with these older students?
Certainly, yeah. You know, all of our field placements were based in elementary. A lot of our classes were for the elementary age, but, you know, the skills that I was taught and, you know, what I learned, and I still believe that I had really good professors, and especially our supervisors. They kind of helped prepare us for any area, and there were a couple from my cohort that went on to either middle school or high school, and I do feel like, as much as I was kind of nervous, more so just myself for the age group, because I never thought I'd teach that age group, but it wasn't that I didn't feel prepared from my schooling. I definitely felt like Towson and the program did a really good job of preparing you for any age group. And that's what's kind of nice about the special ed piece as well. The special ed is kind of general to any age group from birth to adult. So especially going into the special ed field definitely helped. And I think having the 5th grade student teaching placement helped a lot as well. I think it would have been an even more of a shock going from 1st to 6th.
Absolutely.
I had a lot of experience in 5th grade, which helped so.
Good. What was I going to ask you next? Oh, I know. Do you think there will be any time in your career where you'd want to go back to younger age students? I mean, is that something that you aspire to?
Definitely, definitely. You know, I really feel like there's a reason why I ended up in middle school and at my school. I love my school. You know, I have a good rapport with my administration. I feel really supported there. I definitely like the population. It's a Route 40 school, so you know, it's a little bit of a different population than what I'd worked with, say, at like Bel Air Elementary School. But I definitely like working with that population of kids. I definitely want to stay in the special ed field, and as much as I've enjoyed my middle school experience, I still kind of see myself working with the more severe population. I'm actually doing my master's currently with Towson. I'm doing their teacher as leader in autism spectrum disorders. So I will graduate from that program next May, and it is my hope that, you know, someday I'll have a job maybe more so in the autism field, and you know, maybe making an even bigger difference in that field. So I'm not sure which age group I'll end up with. I still would love to work with the little ones, but at this point, you know, I feel like throughout my experience in the field, I've really I've kind of gotten the broad spectrum. I've
have.
worked with the little ones. I'm now in middle school. Outside of teaching, I work with a student through the autism waiver, and he's 20. And so, I've gotten the experience from first grade to adults that are just, several years younger than I am. So at this point, I feel like I've had a broad range of experience, and I feel like I'm prepared to work with any age group. So I think I'm interested to see where the future takes me, but I don't see myself working in any other field than special ed, and I'd like to get more into like the autism field and working with more in intensive disabilities.
Tell us a little bit, what is this autism waiver? What does that mean?
It is an autism waiver that parents can apply for through the government. Maryland has a couple, and the one that I work for is called Endless Options. I actually started working for them my sophomore year at Towson. So I've had a lot of experience working with them, and it's one-on-one with the child in their home and in the community, and working with the family. And I have really, really enjoyed that experience. I like it a lot. The student that I'm with now, I've been with for 5 years now, and built a really good relationship with his family, and that's definitely helped too. Going from thinking I was going to work with the little ones to I started with him when he was 15 and now he's 20, and I couldn't imagine not working with him. So that's definitely helped in my experience, but I think that's also what's continued to lead me towards wanting to do more in the autism field.
So what kinds of things do you do?
He has, he is a student at John Archer. He has his IEP there, but through the waiver, we write our own kind of plan for him. He has goals and drills and things that we practice at home, and as he's getting older, we're doing a lot more in community with him to try and teach him the more independent living skills and functional skills. And so he, works a lot with money. If we go out to eat, he has to order his own food and pay for it. He goes to the grocery store with his own list and purchases his items. And so, we're working more as he gets older, and him being as independent as he can be. He has chores that he does around the house that I help him with. And so it's changed as he's gotten older, and I've been working with him, but he kind of has his own little goal plan that we set up for him under the waiver. And we have a good communication system with the school. We try and make sure we're doing things the same. So we've created a good partnership with them, which is nice. So.
And that program for him would continue through age 21?
Yes, correct, 21. So he has one more year at John Archer.
And so that's almost that secondary transitional level of special ed. So you really have covered everything.
I have. And, I love working with him and helping him build those independent skills. And so, it's definitely something I've considered. If I stay in the autism field, would I want to work with kids more so in that transition period? And, I've thought about like the job coach kind of thing. And so I feel like, especially when I finish this master's program, like Towson will have fully prepared me to go in any area of special ed that I want to, and I feel like I have a lot of options, which is nice. So
very nice, very good. Is there anything that we have forgotten that you want to talk about in terms of your preparation, or especially your career so far?
No, I don't think so. I think if I had to go back and do it again, I don't think I would have chosen a different program. I don't think I would have chosen a different college. I think that Towson really prepared me, and like I said, I think they've given me a wealth of knowledge and experience to have a lot of options as to what I want to do with the rest of my future. So I think I was blessed with my wonderful supervisors, Tony and Becky, and they've definitely played a large role in my career and helping me get here. So I'm pleased with Towson and how much they've helped me get to where I am today.
One last question we always ask everybody is, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is considering a career in education as a teacher?
I would probably tell them to be flexible and to be open and be willing to try things they didn't think they would. It's definitely stressful. The programs are stressful, but getting to that point where you're done and you're excited about your own class and your own caseload, and it's an exciting experience. It's nerve-wracking, it's stressful, but it helps to be flexible and be open. And to be willing to try different age groups and different settings. And, like I said, I never thought I would ever want to work with the older kids, and that's what I've done for 3 years now, going on my 4th year. And so I think it helped that I got a lot out of my student teaching experiences. I wasn't excited when I found out I was placed in 5th grade, but I dove deep into it anyway, and I made the best of it, and I ended up really liking it. So I think it's just important to be open to different experiences, different schools. I love the fact that I was placed for one student teaching in a Route 40 school and the other, in Bel Air. So, just make the most of your student teaching experience. Keep a good rapport with your teachers and your supervisors, and, just hard work pays off.
Yeah, and flexibility.
Yes.
I think everybody has mentioned flexibility. Is it a good career choice, do you think?
I think it is. It's a little scary right now with all the cuts they're making, but it's definitely rewarding. Whether you're a general education teacher or a special education teacher, seeing the impact that you can make in the kids' lives, the end of the year, those emails you get from the parents just thanking you for everything you've done for their child, it's just, it definitely makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're making an impact, which has always been important to me. So I would say it's definitely, if you're looking for a career choice that's rewarding and fulfilling and going to make you feel good and make you feel like you're really making a difference in someone else's life, I would say it's a good one to choose.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank you again for having me.
Sharing all of this with us. It's a good example of how sometimes what you think you want is not exactly what you, number one, turn out to get, and number two, probably wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.